Okay. So just to have a background po, Nasya is a processing company that provides innovative assistance to medical professionals for their licensure or for your licensure exam application. So kahit saan po kayo located, we can assist you with your Nclex exam or any other licensure exam application. And we are also proud to say that we are the only processing company that has a mobile app designed for the application process. So ang purpose po nito is for you to be able to focus on your exam preparation and review. So you can complete the licensure application process in the comfort of your home or kahit working kayo and doing your review. Okay, so as you can see in my screen, we help nurses to become licensed abroad. No? So these are our events, orientations, together with our partners that provide sponsorship and direct hire opportunity for nurses. We have also some of our passers, some of our applicants for the business screen, Nclex, license endorsement, and any other licensure exam application. So marami po yan sila sa website natin. If you wanted to check more of our successful applicants, you can check that one sa website or any other social media platforms po natin. Okay, so Nasya provides assistance for the Nclex USA, Nclex Australia, Nclex Canada, license endorsement, business screen, USA license renewal, past letter requisition, CJFNS certification program, school requisition of documents, and local license verification. So magtatanong po tayo, ano po ba yung mga school documents na needed? Do I need to request na po ba ng documents or later na lang po? So for the school requisition of documents, may mga forms po na i-accomplish yung school from the Board of Nursing, from health authorities ng ating licensure application. So later na po tayo mag-request ng mga school documents pag nag-proceed na po tayo sa actual na process. Okay, so let's talk about the demand of nurses sa Australia, Canada, and US. Now, this is based on the 2023 data. So sa Australia, it needs to have 80,500 nurses each year. Sa Canada naman, it needs to have 155,400 nurses each year. And USA naman, it needs to have 203,000 nurses each year. So if we are talking about millions of nurses needed for the next 10 years. So if you are planning to start, I think this is the best time, or we suggest that this is the best time to start your application. Okay, so ano nga ba yung requirements, yung mga main requirements for the Nclex? So, but before that, Nclex stands for the National Council Licensure Examination. So it is a standardized examination that nurses must pass to obtain licensure to practice nursing in the United States, Australia, and Canada. So I know that you guys already know what is Nclex. Now, you're planning to start the Nclex. Ano ba yung mga requirements na need nating i-submit or need nating i-check if available ba sa end natin? So number 1, we should have a valid passport. So kailangan i-check natin kung kailan yung expiration ng passport natin. Mayroon ba tayong passport? Kung wala pa, it's better to process that one. It needs to have a valid local license. So some of the states requires to have a local license. When we say local license, ito po yung PRC license natin. Kung wala naman pong PRC, kailangan po nating mag-undergo ng consultation with Nasya para po mabigyan namin kayo ng advice kung ano yung best state na pipiliin natin na it does not require to have a local license. So yung ating PRC ID should be valid 8 to 9 months. Next, we need also to check if we do have an English exam. So some of the states nagre-require yan ng English exam, some of the application nagre-require yan ng English exam. Work experience, so tingnan din natin yung ating work experience. How many years na ba? Is it a volunteer? Clinical work experience ba yon? Hospital work experience ba yon? Things like that. And school documents. So yung school documents natin, that's very important as well kasi meron mga school na closed na. So yung documents, saan ba yun i-request? tingnan din natin if kompleto yung mga copy natin ng documents. So later on, i-discuss natin what are the documents that needs to be submitted for the licensure application process or for the Nclex. Okay, so if you are a nurse, ito po yung licensure pathway natin for Filipino nurses to work in Canada, Australia, and the USA. So for Australia, kailangan po nating mag-undergo ng subcheck under APRA. We need to submit documents sa Board of Nursing. We need to have English exam. And we need to pass the qualification assessment. Then we need to take the Nclex exam, the OSCE, and the licensing. So yun po yung mga dapat nating i-accomplish sa pathway. Pero for the Nclex exam, mayroon po diyang mga specific requirements. So later, i-discuss natin yan. For Canada naman, we need to undergo the Educational Credential Assessment. I-check yung mga school documents natin. We need to have the National Nursing Assessment Services or NAS. It is equivalent to CJFNS. We need to know kung saang province tayo maging license sa Canada, no? Kasi meron kaming best recommended provinces for the Nclex Canada. Of course, kailangan natin mag-take ng exam. Some of the provinces, it requires to have English proficiency exam. Some of the provinces, it needs to have a bridging program. So later, titingnan natin kung ano yung mga provinces na nagre-require ng English exam at saka nagre-require ng bridging program or the work experience. For the Nclex USA naman, it needs to have educational credential evaluation. Some of the state requires English proficiency exam. Of course, we need to pass the Nclex. We need also to have the state licensure application, depende kung saan yung state of deployment natin. And we need to have the visa screen. So ito po yung pathway na dapat sundan natin for the licensure application in order for us to work in the USA, Canada, or Australia. Okay, so let's go into the details. Let's say you choose Nclex Australia. Ano ba yung mga initial requirements that needs to be submitted? No, for now, pre-assessment and evaluation po tayo. So, pag sinabi natin yung initial requirements, isasubmit muna natin yan kay Nasya. I-check namin kung eligible ba kayo. I-check namin kung ano yung mga dapat i-check sa mga documents natin. So, all documents will do, which is we need your TUR, the RLE, college diploma, local license, board rating, board certificate, and passport. No? So, passport copy, kailangan natin yan. So, you can take a picture of it or you can scan it, make sure na whole page and clear copy, then send sa amin sa email namin, support@nasya.ph para po ma-evaluate namin. So, within a few minutes, we will feedback with you kung ano yung result ng assessment natin. But of course, yung assessment talaga is, ano naman yan, we make sure na we will provide you a proper expectation based on the documents that you submitted. The processing time frame for Nclex Australia is about 1 to 2 months. And once you pass the exam, you will not receive a license, no? Because we need to process, or you need to take the OSCE and you need to process the licensing. Unlike sa US na once you pass the Nclex, immediately you will receive a license or yung license natin will be posted in nurses. However, sa Nclex Australia, once you pass the exam, you will not receive a license kasi nga magte-take pa tayo ng OSCE, and after the OSCE, we need to process a licensing. So, ang requirement po doon sa licensing is a work experience na 450 hours at the same time, English exam. Okay? So, sa MCQ exam is allowed po tayo ng 8 attempts. MCQ is equivalent to the Nclex. Ang ATT po natin will be received within 5 to 10 business days and the validity of the ATT is 90 days. Once you're done with the exam, yung exam result natin will be available after 6 weeks. But there are instances na makaka-receive tayo ng result earlier than 6 weeks. Yung result ng examination will be sent through the email we use during your application and registration. So there are 6 steps, no, for the Nclex Australia, and in order for you to have your license. No, yung first step natin will be the self-check. So we will be the one to do it. Titingnan natin kung anong stream tayo na belong. Then we have the IQNM assessment. Ito yung i-access natin yung orientation, which has a specific days, no, kung kailan lang natin ma-access, no, so which is 90 days. Dapat matapos natin yun within 90 days. Then for the portfolio, we will be submitting the documents. So yung documents natin should be notarized, and there is a format in doing the notarization. So very strict po yan sila. Next, once approved with your portfolio, we can proceed with the MCQ exam or equivalent to the Nclex. And after passing the Nclex, once you're ready to proceed with your OSCE, we can schedule your OSCE, and then you can take your OSCE exam in Adelaide, Australia. Once you pass the OSCE, that's the time to process the licensing. That requires you to have an English exam and a criminal background check, and of course the 450 hours na work experience natin. For Nclex Canada naman, we have our 4 best recommended provinces, no? Because of the complication of the process, ito yung mga recommended provinces natin. Kasi some of the nurses magsisend ng inquiry, I want to take the Nclex Canada. So tinatanong natin, saang provinces sa Canada you wanted to be licensed? Kasi different provinces, it requires to have different requirements and different processes as well. So let's discuss first the Nclex Alberta. No? So for the Nclex Alberta, ang initial requirements natin for the free assessment and evaluation is of course yung ating local license, our TUR and RLE, college diploma, passport natin. We need also to check if you do have an English exam, because in order for us to proceed with the process, you need to have an English exam. So may option po tayo, pwede po tayong mag-IELTS or pwede po tayong mag-SILBAN. We need also your certificate of employment. At least you have 2 years work experience, board rating, and board certificate. So the processing time frame for you to get approved for the Nclex Alberta is about 3 to 5 months. So hindi na po kailangan ng ENAS din for the Alberta. And of course, kailangan nating ma-meet yung requirements by submitting our English exam results. So may mga specific scores po yan. Okay? So we are only allowed 3 attempts to complete and pass the exam. ATT is valid within 90 days. And yung eligibility natin will take within 2 weeks, no, for us to be approved. Next, we have the Nclex Ontario. The initial requirements is almost the same sa local license, board rating, board certificate, yung ating TUR and RLE, yung college diploma natin, yung passport natin. And of course, we need to have an English exam. Again, it should be IELTS or SILBAN. We need to have certificate of employment, no? Very specific po yung Nclex Ontario when it comes to their work experience. It should be 3 years, no? Yung work experience natin, and must be active within 5 years of the application. Processing time frame naman po natin, medyo mabilis yung Nclex Ontario, no? 2 to 4 months lang yung waiting time natin for us to be able to be approved. It requires to have ENAS, need authorization to work. Of course, if nagpa-process tayo ng student visa natin or yung citizenship natin, kailangan natin yon in order for us to complete the licensure application process. It needs to have nursing jurisprudence exam. Again, kailangan natin ng English exam, pwedeng IELTS, pwedeng SILBAN. College of Ontario updates your application within 5 days, no, of receiving your exam result. And we are only allowed to have 3 attempts, and we need to pass the examination sa 3 attempts na yan. Okay? Next, we have Nova Scotia. No? Sa Nova Scotia naman, it's almost the same requirements, and very particular din sila when it comes to the work experience. 3 years po yan, and must be active within 5 years of the application. Processing time frame for Nova Scotia is 4 to 6 months. You are no longer eligible for a conditional license if you fail the registration exam 3 times. So very specific din sila when it comes to the registration policy. And Nclex RN result are generally released within 2 weeks of taking the examination, and it requires you to have a criminal background check. Ang latest update po ngayon ng Nova Scotia is have sent us an email that they're gonna be delayed with the approval of the application because as of this time, they are receiving for about 18,000 application for the Nclex or for the licensure application process. So if you really wanted to be in Nova Scotia, let's say you're processing your student visa, we highly recommend you to consider the 3 provinces that we have, no? Yung Nclex Alberta, yung Ontario, and then the last one, no, na recommended namin is yung Saskatchewan, no? So for the Nclex Saskatchewan, it's almost the same requirements. Ang pinagkaiba lang dito is yung certificate of employment, at least 2 years lang yung kailangan. And of course, it's the same, must be active within 5 years span of time. So the processing time frame will take 3 to 5 months. It needs to have the NS. It requires to have an English exam. So before, ang ina-accept nila is IELTS ang Silban. Pinaka-latest po natin ngayon sa Saskatchewan is that they are now accepting OET. Okay? So good news yun. Must have worked at least 1,125 hours of nursing practice. No? Very specific yan sila sa nursing practice. 3 attempts to complete and pass the exam. So you are only allowed to take the exam 3 times. So dapat pumasa na tayo doon. And application is valid for 1 year. Okay? So that's the information about Nclex Australia and then Nclex Canada. Sir, question po. What if I passed Nclex Australia or Canada but I wanted to practice my profession in the US? Can I use my Nclex exam result? Basically, yes. No? So let's say pumasa ka ng Nclex Australia and then you wanted to practice your profession in the US, wala ka pang license, Nclex result lang yung mayroon tayo, so we can process score transfer. Sa US naman, there are states na nag-a-accept ng score from Australia. So we have the NMI or Saipan, and then we have Colorado. Okay? Yung Washington, there is a pending legislation for that. Pag pumasa naman tayo ng Nclex Canada, tapos you wanted to practice our profession in the US, we can also process score transfer. Pag wala ka pang license, result lang yung mayroon tayo, we can process score transfer from Canada to US. May mga states na nag-a-accept niyan. One of that is also Colorado. Pero pag may license ka na sa Canada, let's say you obtain your license, you process all those documentation and submission of documents, ang gagawin na natin is license endorsement. So from Canada to US, ang tawag doon is license endorsement. Okay? Now, let's discuss Nclex USA. Ano ba yung mga factors na we need to consider? So I always discuss this one during every orientation that I will have, no? So number 1 dyan is states that issues active license. Kasi may mga states sa US na pag pumasa ka ng Nclex, let's say Florida, inactive yung license mo because you need to provide certain documents like the SSN and driver's license for you to be able to activate your license. Social security number. So, some of the states, it requires to have social security number. So, the next question here is that, Sir, gusto ko pong i-practice yung profession ko sa California. Paano po yan? Kasi nagre-require ng social security number. Ano po yung the best thing that I do para makapag-proceed ako sa Nclex? So magre-recommend kami ngayon based sa aming highly recommended states. Okay ma'am, ito po yung i-process natin because it does not require a social security number. Once you pass the Nclex, ang gagawin po natin is we will process license endorsement or reciprocity. No? So it does not necessary na mag-work ka sa state na yan. Ang gagawin lang natin is dyan ka mag-take ng Nclex mo and after passing the Nclex, i-endorse natin yung license mo kung saan mo gusto ma-deploy and saan yung employer mo located. Okay? Next is the English proficiency exam. So some of the states requires you to have an English proficiency exam upon the Nclex exam application. Some of the states naman hindi nagre-require ng English proficiency exam. Next, work experience. Some of the states requires work experience. Yung iba naman, hindi sila nagre-require. Date of graduation. For example, you graduated 10 years ago. May hihingiin po yung Board of Nursing sa inyo. Let's say, you choose NMI or Saipan. If you graduated more than 10 years ago, you need to provide a certificate of employment. Colorado also requires work experience. Next is application validity. So yung application validity, this is very important. It will give you enough time to focus on your exam preparation and review. Because the longer the application, the validity is, mahaba yung oras na pagpe-prepare mo sa examination mo. Mayroong mga states before, like let's say New Mexico, yung application validity is only valid for 6 months. So ang nangyayari, pag approve ka na, within 6 months, dapat makatake ka na ng exam. No? So talagang pressure ka doon. But good thing na yung New Mexico ngayon, yung application validity is valid na for 1 year. So there are states that the application validity is valid for 1 year, and there are states naman na yung application validity is valid until you pass. So kung valid yan until you pass, hindi mo na uulitin yung buong process ng application mo. Okay, so but basically guys, we can process 50 states in the US. However, yun yung mga things na dapat i-consider natin, no? Kung wala pa tayong SSN, doon tayo sa state na hindi nagre-require ng SSN. Kung wala pa tayong English exam, doon tayo sa state na hindi nagre-require ng English exam. Okay? So, we have our best recommended states in the US for internationally educated nurses outside the USA. So, sir, is it possible ba to process the Nclex? Wala po ako sa US, nasa abroad po ako, possible po ba? Basically, yes, no? So, we have our 4 best recommended states. Before, 5 ito kasi kasali yung Texas, but unfortunately, medyo may complication yung process ng Texas ngayon. Kung hindi naman sa Texas yung state of deployment mo, we might not recommend you to process Nclex Texas. Okay? So, we have Nclex New York, Nclex Illinois, New Mexico, and Saipan. So, we will discuss first Nclex New York. Ano yung mga initial requirements natin? So, initial requirements natin is TOR and RLE. Kung wala namang RLE, it's okay, it's fine. College diploma, PRC ID with signature, board certificate. Yung board certificate, optional naman yan. Kung wala, that's actually fine. Board rating, passport with signature, marriage certificate if married, and birth certificate. Sir, malapit na po akong ikasal. Let's say I will be married for after 6 months. Paano po 'yon? Do I need to change my name bago mag-proceed sa application? So we want to recommend you this one. Na process your Nclex, a single name, and saka ka na mag-change name after passing the examination. No, kasi yung application natin for Nclex is as per passport. So there are applicants there na when they process their Nclex, single pa sila, and then during the examination, hindi tayo na-inform na nag-change name pala, so ibang passport na yung dinadala, iba na yung last name doon. So pagdating doon sa testing center, hahanapan yan siya ng mga evidences. So buti na lang, may mga applicants tayo na they bring their marriage certificate, they bring their old passport, so they're allowed to enter the testing center. So things like that, no? So all documents will do. Just send that one to our email, support@nasya.ph. So things that needs to know, no, for the Nclex New York. So we are very transparent when it comes to providing this information. Yung processing time frame natin will take 3 to 5 months. But here in Nasya, most of our applicants are getting their approval within 1 to 2 months. Minsan nga, mas mabilis pa dyan. Now, the next question would be, Sir, I received my approval already. Are you ready to take the examination? So, dapat po, habang pinaprocess natin yung Nclex natin, habang hinihintay natin yung approval natin, is you are now focusing on your review and exam preparation. So at least 6 months, no? At least 6 months yung preparation natin. You go back to the concept, you need to create a study guide, you need to do the practice test para po masanay tayo para pagdating ng examination, we can say na we are confident in answering those questions. Okay? So work experience is not necessary. PRC license is not necessary. Ito yung maganda sa Nclex New York kasi yung local license natin is optional. So as to the implication, wala naman pong negative implication if we are not going to declare our local license. However, after passing the Nclex, mag-proceed tayo sa business screen process natin. That's the time po na i-declare natin yung local license natin. Okay? So it does not require CJFNS and fingerprinting. I don't know if you already heard about the CJFNS. So some of the applicants, some of the nurses, no, nag-create sila ng CJFNS account nila. Tapos na-declare yung kanilang license sa Middle East, halimbawa. Tapos umuwi na pala dito sa Pilipinas. So that's a very critical situation because we need to message the CJFNS para tanggalin yung license mo na nalagay doon, and it takes so much time, no, ng mga bagay na yon. So mas maganda if you wanted to proceed with your Nclex, find an agency, no? Hindi naman natin sinasabi na all the time you're gonna choose Nasya, no? But pag pinili nyo naman si Nasya, we will be guiding you all throughout the process, no? Pero kahit saan po, no, it's very important na before creating your application, before creating your CJFNS, make sure na tama yung information, and at the same time, yung license na i-declare natin, dapat you make sure na dyan ka pa connected. Kasi the moment na i-verify yan, tapos wala ka dyan sa location na yan or wala ka sa country na yan, magkakaproblema po tayo. Okay? Next, it does not require fingerprinting or criminal background check. And again, what's the good thing about Nclex New York is that the application is valid until you pass. But you need to take the exam within 5 years span of time. Sir, tanong po, sabi niyo po yung application ko is valid until I pass. Bakit po may sinasabing I need to take the exam within 5 years span of time? So pagpalagay lang natin, masyado na matagal yung 5 years. Pero pagpalagay lang natin for the sake of discussion, sir, what if lumampas ka ng 5 years and you haven't passed or take the exam? Ano po yung mangyayari? Do I need to redo the process? Babalikan ba natin yung buong process? Hindi na po. Ang uulitin lang po natin dito is i-update yung file natin sa Board of Nursing. Okay? So you don't need to redo all the processes. Once you pass the Nclex New York and you plan to practice your profession from one state to another, we can process license endorsement. Now, question. Common ito, no? When nurses or you guys sending inquiry, sir, after I pass Nclex, do I need to practice my profession or do I need to work in New York or kung saang state ako pumasa ng Nclex? Not necessary na mag-work ka dyan sa state na yan. You process it as your initial state for the Nclex. Kahit nang dito ka pa sa Pilipinas, we can process license endorsement as long as hindi nagre-require ng social security number. So we have applicants here na yung state of deployment nila is Louisiana, yung state of deployment nila is Utah, yung state of deployment nila is California. Yung kanilang initial state is Nclex New York, and then endorse their license from one state to another. So during the endorsement process, you don't need to take the Nclex again. All we need to do is to submit the documents, pay yung mga processes and so on and so forth. And most of the license endorsement, sponsored po yan ng mga employers ninyo. Because yun po yung program ng mga employers in the US right now. They offer sponsorship and direct hire opportunity for nurses. So, yung main ticket talaga natin is to pass the Nclex. Once we pass the Nclex, there's a lot of opportunity waiting for you guys. Next is Nclex Illinois. Let's say yung state of deployment mo is in Illinois. Okay, it's almost the same requirements, pero ang pinagkaiba lang nila, instead of college diploma, ang isi-send natin sa Nclex Illinois is the high school diploma kasi it requires to have credential evaluation. So, sir, ano po ang mangyayari? Close na po yung school namin, nasunog na po yung school namin, or wala na po akong high school diploma. It's fine. We can find a way. Okay? So, magre-request tayo ng certification sa school mo along with the forms na isi-send namin. But in the meantime, wag muna tayong mag-request ng any documents sa school. All documents will do. So kung ano yung mayroon sa inyo dyan ngayon and you wanted to avail the free assessment and evaluation, then you can send that one. We will check it. Okay? Next, the processing time frame for Nclex Illinois is 3 to 5 months. Work experience is not necessary. We need to process fingerprinting. So paano ba yung fingerprinting? We will be providing you the FBI cards. Yan yung standard na card for the criminal background check. Tapos, i-perform natin yan sa pinakamalapit na police station, sa NBI, or sa SOCO. No? I-check din namin yan before yan isa-send sa Board of Nursing. After you pass the Nclex for Illinois, wala kang marireceive na license because we need to process licensing. Okay, so we can also help you with the licensing. An application is valid for 1 year. It means you need to take the exam or you need to pass the exam within the application validity. Kasi pag hindi tayo pumasa and we cannot take the exam within the application validity, uulitin po natin yung process. Okay? So, we recommend that proceed with the exam whenever you are ready to take the examination. And once you pass Nclex Illinois and you plan to practice your profession from one state to another, it's the same thing. We can process license endorsement or reciprocity. Okay? Next is Nclex Saipan or NMI. No? So before, madaming nagpa-process nito. No? But as of this time, ang Board of Nursing is transitioning from paper application to online application. So may mga delays po. No? May mga delay po when it comes to the approval. Knowing na kunti lang din yung staff ng Board of Nursing na nagpa-process ng mga documents at saka yung mga licensure process for the Nclex. So, for the initial requirements, it needs to have PUR and RLE, high school diploma, PRC ID, board certificate. Again, optional ha. Kung walang board certificate, it does not necessary na mag-request tayo sa Board of Nursing. Board rating, passport with signature, marriage certificate if married, and birth certificate. So, ang processing time frame natin is 2 to 4 months. It requires to have original employment certificate if graduated BSN for more than 10 years after the date of completion. Ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina sa factors that we need to consider. Next, the official college transcript must specify the pharmacology course. Application is valid for 1 year, and it's the same thing. Can endorse your license from one state to another. Okay? Next is New Mexico. Sabi ko nga kanina, before, yung application validity ng New Mexico is only valid for 6 months. But ngayon, yung Board of Nursing, nag-update sila. So, good thing na yung application validity for New Mexico is valid na for 1 year. So, let's say, yung state of deployment mo or you wanted to work in New Mexico, directly New Mexico yung ipaprocess natin for your Nclex. And we have partners in the US that offer sponsorship and direct hire opportunity for nurses sa mga interested mag-New Mexico because they have a hospital or facility there. Okay, yung initial requirements natin is the PUR and RLE, high school diploma, PRC ID with signature, board certificate, board rating, passport with signature, marriage certificate if married, and birth certificate. So, ang processing time frame natin will take 3 to 5 months. Application is valid for 1 year. It requires to have fingerprinting and criminal background check. Requires credential evaluation. Work experience is not needed. And again, can endorse your license from one state to another. Okay, so yan po yung ating 4 highly recommended states for the Nclex USA. Other states na pwede nating i-process if dito yung state of deployment natin is Montana, Florida, Colorado, Connecticut, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, and marami pa pong iba. Even Washington, we can process that one. If doon talaga yung state of deployment natin. Pero pag wala pang state of deployment, you just wanted to take the Nclex, kasi pag bumasa ka ng Nclex, talagang hahanapin at hahabulin ka ng mga employers na nag-offer ng sponsorship and direct hire opportunity for nurses. Okay? Sir, paano po yan? Kasi retro pa po ngayon. Is it the best time to start with my Nclex? Kasi knowing na yung visa bulletin is retro pa po. It is expected by this month that the visa bulletin will move forward, no? Kasi may bago na namang number of visa na i-issue yung US embassy, no? So yung Nclex naman natin that's valid for life. Okay, once you pass the Nclex, you will have your license, your Nclex result is valid for life. You can use it in Canada, you can use it in Australia. Yung license natin is renewable every 2 to 3 years. No? So, and no one can say, baka next month, current na yung visa bulletin. So, that's the time pa ba tayo magpaplano? Oh, I need to process my Nclex na, no? So, based on our experience, may mga ganong instances na hinintay mo na yung visa bulletin bago mag-current, bago mag-process ng Nclex. No? So, yung iba, matagal na nag-process ng Nclex. So, nung nag-current ang visa bulletin, immediately, within 8 to 12 months, deploy na sila sa US. So, they can just complete the process within 12 months once current yung visa bulletin natin. So, mas maganda na pag current yung, mas maganda na you take your Nclex now, process your visa screen. Once current yung visa bulletin, lahat is in a hurry. Employers will pay everything, lahat ng processes mo for them to be able to deploy you doon sa state na need ng nurses. And knowing right now, there's really a need of nurses in the US. Okay, so after passing the Nclex, ano ba yung next ko na gagawin? Ang next process is the visa screen. No? So sa visa screen naman, may mga initial requirements din yan. Of course, kailangan Nclex passer tayo. You need to have an English test. You need to have a TOR and RLE, high school diploma, PRCID, board certificate, board rating, passport with signature, marriage certificate, and birth certificate. But if we are the one who process your Nclex, of course, mayroon na kaming mga initial requirements na yan kasi nasa database namin yan. Okay? So, sir, question. Can I start with my visa screen kahit wala pa akong English exam? No? Basically, yes. No? We can start with the application process ng visa screen mo, but you will not be certified until ma-comply mo yung English exam. So, be very observant when it comes to the validity of that visa screen order kasi valid lang yan siya for 1 year. So, dapat ma-submit na natin yung English exam before ma-expire yung order na yun. Kasi if ma-expire, kailangan natin magkaroon ng reissue once. No? Things like that. Okay. Things that you need to know. Initial state, pass the Nclex. So kung saan kayo pumasa ng Nclex, yun yung ibibigay sa screen natin. Not necessary to have an active license. Expired license can still apply. Yung processing time frame natin is 1 to 2 months. Minsan, mas mabilis pa nga sa 1 to 2 months, no? Certified na. Need English test, usually paid by employers. So, may mga instances na, sir, gusto kong mag-process ng visa screen. I will be the one to pay para at least pag magtanong yung employer, certified na ako. And then, my employers will reimburse all the expenses that I have for my visa screen. Yung iba naman, hinihintay magkaroon ng employer bago mag-process ng visa screen para yung employer yung talagang maglalabas ng pera for the visa screen. Knowing visa screen, medyo may kamahalan yan. That's around 50 to 54,000 and that's a one-time payment. Okay? But if you have the money naman, it's better to proceed with the visa screen right away para at least magiging priority ka ng employer if they are now going to proceed with the filing of your employment or yung visa po natin. Next, once certified, valid po yung visa screen natin for 5 years. Okay. So, ano ba yung mga scores and ano yung mga English exam accepted for the visa screen? No? So, we have Cambridge, we have TOEFL, we have TOEIC, we have IELTS, we have Michigan English Test, we have OET, and Person PTE. So, ito yung mga English exam na accepted for the visa screen. And then, ito yung mga scores, no, na required for each English exam for the visa screen process natin. So, yung mga expenses natin for the visa screen, that's around 56 to 57,000. Medyo may kamahalan din talaga. Kailangan pag-ipunan. Okay, let's say you're done with your visa screen. Another process na gagawin natin, halimbawa, you take Nclex New York and then yung state of deployment mo is in California or in Utah or in New Mexico. So what are the things that we need to know? No, so processing time frame natin will depend on the state. Some of the state accept inactive and expired license. Some of the states requires English language test. So that is why pag nag-process ka ng, halimbawa may employer ka na, sabi ng employer mo, okay, process ka na ng visa screen mo. ma'am, saan po yung state of deployment ko? Halimbawa, yung state of deployment mo is Louisiana. So, ang iti-take natin na English test for the visa screen is the same English test needed for our license endorsement in Louisiana. Let's say PTE, so accepted ba siya sa Louisiana? Mas maganda yon kasi you process your visa screen, PTE yung ating ginamit, then once we process license endorsement, accepted din yung PTE. So you don't need to take the English exam again unless expired yung ating English exam result kasi valid lang yan for 2 years. But we have a news now na magiging longer na yung validity ng mga English exam results. So mas maganda yon. Okay? So some of the state requires you to have SSN, some of the state requires you to have CES or Credential Evaluation Service. Some of the Board of Nursing can only be accessed using a US IP address, no? And some of the application can only be paid using US credit card. So good thing naman with Nasya, like for example, Massachusetts, we can only access that one using US IP addresses. So may mga successful naman po tayo ng mga applicants for that states na nagre-require ng mga US IP addresses and US cards. So we have the tool on how to help you with that po. Okay, next. Baka naririnig natin to, no? Exam exemption or license endorsement and score transfer. Ano ba yung pinagkaiba? Okay. Let's say I pass Nclex Australia and then I wanted to be in the US. Ang tawag doon is score transfer kasi wala ka pang license. Same as to if I pass Nclex Canada, let's say Nova Scotia, wala pa akong license, score lang meron ako, tapos ililipat ko sa US, ang tawag doon is score transfer. For instance naman na you pass Nclex USA, kasi immediately may license na yung USA, and then you wanted to practice your profession in Canada or in Australia, ang process would be exam exemption or license endorsement. Okay, so exam exemption, it means it's the same process. Submit tayo ng mga documents, less the examination. Okay, so unlike doon sa score transfer, yung score mo ililipat, let's say pass Nclex Australia, you wanted to be in the US, yung score mo from Australia, ililipat yun sa US. Therefore, wala ka ng score sa Australia. Unlike sa exam exemption, you have your license in the US, at the same time, you have your license in Australia. So, ganun po yun. So, exam exemption or license endorsement for nurses who already hold an active RN license in one of the states in the US, wish to practice in another state, ang tawag doon is license endorsement. So, no need to take the Nclex. Existing license credentials are endorsed to the new state. So, same as to USA to Australia or USA to Canada, ang process po noon is exam exemption. Submit the necessary documents, less the examination. However, yung score transfer naman, ito yung mga nurses who pass their Nclex in a certain state or in Canada or in Australia na wala pang license, then yung score nila is ita-transfer doon sa US or vice versa. Okay, so that's the difference between the exam exemption, license endorsement versus the score transfer. Okay, so again, just like what I mentioned earlier, Nasya provide assistance, no? When it comes to your licensure process, and we are the only processing company that has a mobile app designed for the application process. So you can do your application in the comfort of your home, while working, while studying. Our goal is for you to focus on your exam preparation, and Nasya will be the one to process the licensure application. Para ang goal natin, kumasa tayo ng Nclex 110. Okay? So sa mobile app natin, you can track the progress of your application 24/7. You can check the latest update about the demand of the nurses in the US. You can check our partners, our services, testimonials of nurses who already passed the Nclex, no? You can learn about their strategy and their story on how they passed the exam. Tell you guys, ang dami-daming story doon. Before, almost mag-give up na, but because of the goal that they have, no? So, they never give up. Ngayon, USRN na sila. Ngayon, nasa US na yung iba. Okay? Available din sa mobile app natin yung coaching session on how to manage yourself in order for you to pass the exam. May mga available Q-Box po tayo and review materials na pwede nyong basahin. That's for free. Wala po yung bayad. And as of this time, we are enhancing that modules, no, para at least mas makatulong talaga sa mga nurses natin, sa inyo guys, in preparing for your Nclex. You can also refer nurses, no? You can help while earning. So mayroon po yung monitoring kung ilan na yung na-refer natin, and then may corresponding referral fee po yan. You can book a call, no? Whenever you are ready to proceed or wanted to know something, you can just schedule a call. You can also check yung mga hotels na malapit sa testing centers natin, even the list of the testing center, and then yung jobs, and then you can book a ticket as well. So you can enjoy our mobile app. That's for free, guys. You can access it in Play Store if you are using Android, and what do you call this one? If you are using iPhone, you can access it using iPhone, no? So iOS. No? So some of the feedbacks that we have here, no, you can just check this one sa website natin or sa social media platforms natin. Ito yung mga success stories and feedback of our nurses on how we help them with their licensure process. So may iba dyan, talagang sobrang tagal na, no? Tulad nito kay Sir Ferdinand Lopez, no? I certainly made the right choice in seeking your assistance to process my USRN license renewal. No, after 12 years ago, no? After 12 years ago na yung license niya, so we helped him with the license renewal. And next we have the Nasya Talks. So yung Nasya Talks, it talks about the stories and the strategy of nurses on how they pass the examination. So available po yan sa mobile app natin, available yan sa YouTube channel natin, available yan sa mga social media platforms natin. Taking the Nclex is not just an exam. It's your goal, it's your journey, it's your future. And I know if these nurses achieve that, you can also do the same, guys. And I would like to congratulate you in advance for attending this orientation, because this is your first step in achieving your professional goal abroad. Just like what I mentioned earlier, we are in partnership with different hospitals and facilities across the US that offers sponsorship and direct hire opportunity for nurses. So if you are interested, you can just send your resume with us and we can forward you to them para po they can schedule an interview with you. Wala naman po mawawala. Just try the interview and you can learn from it, guys. Okay, so some of our events across the country, we have Mindanao, we have in Visayas, we have also in Luzon. Okay, so again, guys, available po yung ating mobile app. You can download that one. And if you want to know more about our services, you can contact us, or you can visit our website, or you can just send us an email at support@nasya.ph. Okay, so again, before I end this presentation and answer possible questions and concern, I would like to share a quote with you from Nelson Mandela. There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. So we all know, no, na if we really believe in ourselves, in our vision to do more in life, we can actually achieve it. And the true passion and fulfillment can only be found by striving to reach one's full potential. This means taking risks, challenging oneself, and embracing the opportunity to grow and develop will be the key to achieve your goals in life. Taking the Nclex, pursuing your professional goal abroad, it's not easy, but at the end of the day, it will be worth it. Thank you, everyone, and happy Sunday. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to discuss you this opportunity.